Hey friends, welcome to season 7 of the Let's Get Real podcast. I'm Justin.
And I'm Trisha.
Every week, we have honest conversations about life, love, and leadership without the pressure to pretend.
Whether you're in a great season or a messy one, this space is for grace and truth and real connection.
And this season, we're diving into some powerful conversations with each other, with friends, and with leaders who are making a difference by leading from a place of authenticity.
So whether you're listening in the car, out on a walk, maybe just hiding in your pantry for a little peace and quiet, this podcast is for you.
Let's dive into season 7 and get real.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Get Real podcast. If you're listening, we're so grateful that you are here. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, welcome. We're actually coming from my office today as we maneuver next steps where this podcast is landing. We normally are in your office.
We normally are, but we wanted to mix it up a little bit, see what works, what doesn't work, have a little bit of nuance to this podcast. And we're grateful for the opportunity just to come to you with your watch on YouTube. We have 7 subscribers now.
7? That's a
7
holy number,
subscribers.
I think.
So you can get in on the early adopter plan of the Let's Get Real podcast on YouTube.
So this has been an exciting season for the podcast, and we've got incredible guests. If you haven't listened to the very first episode, it's interesting how all of our guests, the way that God maneuvers them in their stories. Mm-hmm. And if you've been around the podcast, you know that Justin and I released our latest book a couple months ago, One Choice Away from Change. And a lot of the podcast guests are talking about like significant life change that's happened either in their lives or how to experience life change. And so when Justin and I were talking about what we wanted to share in our podcast, so kind of tell them the rhythm that we release these episodes.
Yeah. So last season, for season 6, we released 2 episodes per month. And really by God's grace, we've had just a number of guests either reach out to us or that we've connected with that have said, hey, we'd love to be on the Let's Get Real podcast. And so we have expanded to 3 times per month. And so on the first and third Tuesdays of the month, we're going to release an episode where we're interviewing a guest. But then on the second Tuesday of every month, you and I are going to come live from your office.
So we have 7 subscribers on YouTube, and now we're up to 3 podcasts a month. So you guys, we're
crushing it.
We are just crushing it. But we have loved the organic growth of this podcast. We tell people this is our love. We love just sitting down with people and talking about real things in life, in love, and in leadership. And so we decided that we're going to take you through a journey of more birth out of our book and the craziness that has been the past couple of years. If you're like, oh, I want to know about that, listen to prior episodes and you'll be like, whoa, or get the book and you'll be like, whoa, like it's a lot. But the question we've been getting over the past couple of months from both the podcasts, really fun, where people reach out and say, hey, I listened to this, or I found you through like the craziest way, of kind of the practical how to, not like 5 happy haps through life, love, and leadership, but more of, so I know like what's going on in my life, but I don't really know how to change. Right. Does that make sense?
Well, I think sometimes what happens, and you and I have experienced this, where you have the goal of transformation and it seems so far out there and so overwhelming that it's easier not to start than to actually start. And so a lot of us settle for dysfunction in a relationship or dysfunction in a marriage or dysfunction at work because the prospect of changing everything.
Yes.
It just feels so debilitating that it's like, okay, that's so overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So why even start?
Yeah. And we're in my office today. We may or may not have gotten into a little bit of an argument beforehand because it was not setting up the way that we thought. We've got some things going on of why we're in my office, but it's this reminder that for many of us, like Justin and I, like not having things exactly how we want, maybe you resonate with this, that, well, I'm just not going to do it. Which I didn't say that. I was just really proud of myself. But I think this is true in trying to create change in your life. To Justin's point, there's so much that we could choose that we get decision fatigue. And so we don't choose anything, or we can only make the choice until it's perfect. And what I love about this podcast is that it has stretched Justin and I to be like, it is what it is.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
It does not have to be perfect.
Which is good, because it won't be.
It's not. It's not. We've had like dogs come in. We've had packages delivered. We've had children, our adult kids who we love so much, just
FaceTime
walk
us.
in the door or FaceTime us. But what I think we're proud of is that we tried anyway. And so our encouragement as we, have this conversation today is prefacing that you will want to come up with like a 5-step plan of how to break cycles in your life, or maybe something you may go like, I don't even know where to start. And I would say it's the thing that you think about in the shower, or when you're in the car line, picking up your kiddos at school, or that you're, waiting in the coffee shop, waiting for your girlfriends to show up, or, whatever your space you find your mind being able to drift. What does your mind often drift to? And maybe for you, it is a relationship that is just so dysfunctional, and you're expecting the phone call from them, or you're anticipating how to not answer the phone call. Or maybe it's a dream that you show up to a space, whether it's, the gym or the coffee shop. And every time you pull up to the parking lot, it's a reminder of what you didn't do or what you wanted to achieve. It's that thing, so take a minute and think about, what is the area in your life that you want to see change in, but feel stuck?
Last week, we were interviewing our son, Micah, for the podcast, which is going to release actually next Tuesday, because his new book, 3 Strikes and You're Forgiven, releases next Tuesday. And as we're talking with him, it begins to resonate in my mind that there are certain things that no matter how hard you may try not to repeat them with your kids, they just get passed down. And you can think that, nature is the determining factor of what your kids get. A lot of it is nurture.
I thought you were going to say that you realize that this kid is so much smarter than us, and
well, that's true.
It is.
Yeah,
That's not where you were.
It's going to be a great episode. So listen next week. But one of the things that came to mind as we were having that conversation, how you can be talking and think about other things at the same time. It's like, man, whether or not I wanted to or not, there were certain things that were just passed down to him. Not my intelligence. He got that all on his own.
Now, seriously, Justin and I got off that podcast and we're like, do we know Jesus?
Exactly.
Like,
are we even so Christians?
But what would be an example of
our family makes fun of me all the time, because when I have something funny to share, when I have a story to tell, when I have something that I want to get their attention, I will inevitably say, hey, you guys want to hear something? Hey, you guys want to hear something funny? Hey, you guys want to know something? And it's something that I just do subconsciously. Now self-consciously I do it. Sorry. But I mean, to a T, even our adopted kids, they caught on to this immediately. Like, why does dad always preface a story before he shares it? And it's just, it's my spiritual gift.
Do you ever expect us to go, when you say, do you want to hear something, for us to be like,
you guys want to know something funny? And so if you listen to the podcast, and you see me out in the wild, you can say, hey, Justin, do you want to hear something funny? For the 7 YouTube subscribers that we have. And so we have spent a lot of time together as a family. And what we have noticed is Micah, although he did not do it, I don't recall, in the podcast, he will say, you guys want to hear a story? You guys want to hear something funny? And then so then it gives me an opportunity to make fun of him. But one of the things that it made me realize is some of us struggle with certain patterns of behavior or certain aspects of relationships because of the family that we grew up in, or because of the environment that we grew up in, or because of things that we experienced in formative years, some of which we weren't even in control of, right? How we perceive money, how we deal with conflict, how we interact with people at work, sometimes even our temperament is a result of some of the things that we've experienced and the patterns and behaviors that we've adopted or latched onto, either out of safety, out of comfort, because it's what we actually know. And that becomes a really difficult thing and a difficult habit to break, as evidenced by Trish. Do you want to hear something funny?
Well, it becomes a barrier to change because we say to ourselves, it's always been this way, and this is just who I am. And so it's not going to change. And yet it's the very thing that you're thinking about all the time.
Yeah.
For me, it was the journey of going back to school. And if you've been around the podcast, like that was a really big thing for me. And I just assumed that I couldn't make that choice. And it really had nothing to do with school. It had everything to do with a belief of mine that I had the capacity to do it. But when I really searched kind of my why of what my barrier was. So like for me, I would show up in spaces and they would talk about their school experience. And I would be like, oh, that was my thing. I was always thinking about school and always wanting to go back. And I, at the surface level thought, well, it's because, my season of life and I can't pass math, which was really kind of if you're a mathematician, just show me grace. But that was like a barrier. But what I really recognized of why that change wasn't happening in my life is the belief that I didn't deserve it, which was crazy because nobody ever told me that I didn't deserve it. For some reason, it was like, well, generationally, my parents didn't experience, so why would I get to experience it? And so I had to not only identify what I was thinking about that I wanted to create change in, but then I had to wrestle to the ground of, well, why am I not going for it? Like, what is holding me back? And so it's a great question to ask yourself. And sometimes a person will pop in your mind because that person isn't going to encourage me, or that person's already told me I couldn't do it. Or, you could never be that business owner. You could
never be an author,
or you could never, create that thing. I could never make money off of being an artist, or, I could never use my analytical side for, kingdom purposes. So it may be a person. It may be a lack of opportunity. And people ask us all this time about like publishing a book or whatever. And it's brutal, y'all. I know it sounds fancy.
We were lamenting about the journey even earlier today.
Yeah. I mean, I think our book is like at $4. I don't, when we're recording this, maybe it's not when it, releases, but it's just this reality of like, okay, what is it that I want to change in my life? Why do I want to change? And kind of like the whole purpose of this conversation is, how do I begin the process of change?
We shared this story on another podcast, but right after Trisha and I wrote Beyond Ordinary, we met with a prominent author who did not endorse the book, but we still sent a copy to him. So this is like in 2013. And we meet for lunch in Nashville, where we were living at the time. And he was super complimentary of the book to the point where like, and this is a guy that we respect. Like I've read all of his books. Like I was like fanboying at lunch, and then to have him compliment the book was just unbelievable. And then at the end, he said, "So who's your ghostwriter?"
Not to Justin, to me. And it was like, oh, why didn't he ask Justin who his ghostwriter was? Why did he just ask me? And we could go down that rabbit trail for all like the cultural reasons behind that. But it doesn't matter for the sake of this conversation, because it
reinforced the belief.
Totally. Like Beyond Ordinary was a freak book, and it was just our story. I'm just a storyteller. And
you said I wrote every freaking word of that book.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
But, honest conversations, right? So we did really good in sales with Beyond Ordinary, and then nobody wanted to sign us for another book. And we lived in Nashville at the time, surrounded by a lot of kingdom-minded authors and people in that space. They couldn't figure it out either. And so my, desire, whether for school or for writing, in the background was like, well, nobody else believes in me, then why should I believe in myself? Which you may be listening or watching and going, okay, that's crazy because you did publish a book. And the reason I say that is obviously this conversation is not about publishing anything. It's about sometimes we think we know our why of what's holding us back when we really don't. And I had to wrestle to the ground the fact that all of those different scenarios played into my heart and mind and my value.
Yeah.
And so what began to break that cycle for me is to just choose to do what I wanted to do. And my desire is to write. I love writing. This dyslexic girl, if it wasn't for Microsoft Word or spell check, I would not be an author because it would take me like a million years to spell words right. But I am a good writer and I love to write. And so when you think about that thing, is the thing you want to change because somebody's telling you need to change? Or is it something that you truly desire to change because it's something that you feel convicted through the Holy Spirit, and not like a bad thing. I mean, it could be something that is dysfunctional, but it could be a dream that God's put on your heart that you're like, no, that can't be for me.
Well, and one of the things that we want you to see or understand is our beliefs, they impact our choices. And then those choices become patterns, and those patterns then become cycles. And this is something that if you'll open yourself up to this idea, we think it can be transformative. One of the things that Trisha and I have struggled with, no matter how much money we've made, is our perception and our perspective of money. And this last weekend, so we're talking like 5 days ago from the time of this recording, I went to my mom's house for a cookout. And it was me and Micah and Riley, our daughter-in-law and our oldest son. It was just the three of us from our family. And then obviously all of my extended family was there. And for whatever reason, they just like telling stories about me.
Sad that I wasn't there.
Talking crap about me is what I was going to say. And so we start talking about all the times that we moved. And Micah said, why did you guys move so much? Because we just moved we moved 17 times from the time I was in kindergarten till I was a senior in high school. We moved 11 times from the time I was in sixth grade till I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
And then when Trisha and I started dating, I brought her home to meet my parents, and my parents had moved. I went to the door.
But we didn't know.
Yeah.
So we went to the wrong house.
We went to the house that I lived in when I left for college, and my parents weren't there. I had to go to a payphone at a gas station and call them to find out where they moved to.
It's a true story.
But even at 52 years old, one of the things that I was debriefing with Trisha about is like, I never took into account that all of those moves created an insecurity. And some of the moves were like we moved to a bigger house, but some of the moves were we had to move because my parents couldn't pay the rent and we got evicted. Some of it was our landlord decided to sell the house. Well, that created a belief system in me that somehow if I could control money enough, I would find security. And that belief system became choices in our marriage and our family, and became patterns and cycles that we had to wrestle to the ground and understand. Did it come from a place of malice, or was I being malicious and making our kids feel guilty for spending $20? No, it wasn't from a place of malice, but it was received from a place of hurt from them, right?
But they do tease you about that.
They do, well, because I want to go on vacation and then I'll make everybody feel miserable for how much money we're spending on vacation. So I want you to think about like this. This is real life, right? Like we're not talking about something out there, something hypothetical, that you have beliefs in your life that have become choices that inform your choices, that then become patterns, and then they become cycles in your life. And one of our passions is to help people find freedom from that and say, okay, this belief, whether it's true or untrue, it can be changed, right? Like, and so even this week, I've had like numerous conversations with Trish. Like, I want to be free from that 11-year-old kid who doesn't know if when he comes home, if that's going to be home. Right. Like, and so we can always be aware of these things. Once you're aware of it, you can begin to go, okay, there's another place in my heart that I can find healing that will lead to freedom, that can lead to change.
So I think the win and really of this conversation is just naming it.
Yeah.
And telling somebody about it. That conversation, I mean, Justin and I have been married for 30 years. We've been together for like 31 or 32, right?
Yeah.
And I knew scarcity mindset was a struggle of his, or, but I was taken aback that he was, that conversation, which we've had a million times. That sounds really mean that we've made fun of Justin a million times.
Well, but no, it was like an epiphany, right? Like, yes. It was like, okay, you knew I struggled with scarcity mindset. And so we both have identified it, but it was like, well, I just need to get over scarcity mindset. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so it created empathy.
What?
Are you going to make fun of me anymore?
Well,
it doesn't excuse it, right? So this isn't justifying, it's explaining.
Yeah.
So when you name it, it gives you power over it.
Because we live in an extreme culture. It's like you either have to be at the top of the mountain or you're in the valley. And I'm like, but isn't life lived on the journey in between? And so we've learned that part of this process is not thinking of, breaking cycles, beginning with like, what is the thing that seems to be consuming you all the time? And it may not be a thing. It may be a relationship. What is that for you that it consumes you? And it's like, well, then we feel like if we name it, then we have to, when we name it, we better be at the top of the mountain. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. And that's okay.
What was the quote that our counselor said? You can't
name a wound.
You can't heal a wound.
Yeah.
You can't heal a wound you don't give a name to.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we would say you can't change a pattern of behavior until you name it, until you identify it.
Yeah. And then like an abundance of grace for yourself that if you have that epiphany for Justin, this was just like 48 hours ago of like him having this epiphany. And it's like, okay, well, then you get to have agency of what you want to do with it. But it's a process of understanding what that best next step is for you. And it may be an action step. Like, I need to make that phone call. Or, for me, it was like, I'm going to sign up for school, and I'll never forget signing up. And I'm like, what have I done? And I like got real teary eyed and told all my kids, I can't do this. And they were like my cheer, my pep rally,
cheer squad.
I dyslexic brain. Yes. They were all of those things. But, I think naming it is part of it. But then I want to encourage you to be okay with that being the win.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the next steps of how to get to conquering, whatever it is, but acknowledging in a culture that we live in, that it's not about getting the reward. It's not about even getting across the finish line. It's about really being proud of yourself, of living life fully awake and in living life to your fullest. And we can't do that if we are constantly consumed by what we're not doing or not achieving or not healing. And so we just want to encourage you, just that one choice, which sounds so silly, and you may totally roll your eyes at us. I say that a lot because I know some of you do. But it is that simple to some of the most complicated aspects of our life.
And I think when you name something, it gives you the freedom then to go, okay, what need am I trying to meet with this choice, right? Am I looking for security? Am I looking for approval? Am I looking for you have to name it, and then you can trace it and understand, okay, if I know what need I'm trying to meet. So for me, when I'm controlling finances on vacation, what am I looking for? Security, right? I'm feeling insecure that we're not going to have enough money because we just, spent $926 on ice cream at Dawson's in Seaside.
So you're not still thinking about that.
No, so. But I'm saying like, so if you really want to change at a heart level, we all have needs that God created us to meet. But when we try to meet those in unhealthy ways, it creates these unhealthy cycles and patterns in our life.
Yeah. So that's good. It's good. So many different things that we could launch into from there, but we're going to stop there. And we just want to encourage you to wrestle with that conversation. And we hope this season of the podcast is a place of inspiration. Some of the stories that will be shared are just crazy. Like there's one where literally, I was rendered speechless of just like, which doesn't happen, of like, whoa, if God can do that, like he literally can do anything. And so we hope that this is just one more conversation that encourages you in your journey to just live honestly in your life, in the people you love, and in your relationships, in your leadership.
So for the 7 of you that are watching on YouTube, thank you. For those of you that are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever your favorite podcast platform is, go subscribe on YouTube. It would be awesome. Or you can check out our brand new website, justinandtrisha.com. We've created it to be a space that helps you have healthy relationships no matter what your stage of life is. And so until next time, we'll talk to you soon, and we'll see you again from Trisha's office.
Thanks so much for joining us for another honest conversation. We hope that something in today's episode encouraged you, maybe even challenged you.
Our heart is to help you live with more connection, more purpose, and really more authenticity in every aspect of your life.
If this episode meant something to you, would you do us a favor? Would you leave a review wherever you listen to the podcast? It helps more people find these conversations.
Or better yet, share it with a friend. Shoot somebody a text message today. Let them know what you're listening to, because you never know how God might use that to encourage somebody else.
We'll see you next time right here on the Let's Get Real podcast.